Daniel and Susan Reyes bought their Northport home in 2022 for $410,000. This spring, the house across the street, same model, same block, sold for $328,000. Their home lost $82,000 in value, and they never missed a payment or changed a thing. The market simply turned. They are not alone, and the towns you are about to see are where it is turning fastest. We don't sell real estate. What we have is the inventory data, the price cut percentages, the overvaluation models, and the insurance pressure pointing at the Florida markets most likely to crack first. By the time we are done, your picture of the Florida housing market is going to look very different. In 10th place, Lehigh Acres was built for investors, and investors are always the first to leave. Tens of thousands of lots from a 1950s land scheme are filling with cookie-cutter rentals, and active listings have jumped more than 50% in a single year. When supply rises that fast, price follows. The median has already slipped from a peak near $300,000 into the mid-260s, and nearly a third of sellers are cutting their price before they close. Lehigh Acres isn't a community with a soul to defend it. It's an inventory pile waiting for a buyer. Coming up, a Space Coast town where the flips have stopped flipping. In 9th place, Palm Bay rode the Space Coast boom, and now the speculation is unwinding. Investors who bought to flip are sitting on homes that won't move, and the months of available supply have more than doubled. Prices are off roughly 9% from their peak, and a typical listing now sits more than 70 days before it sells. The rockets still launch, but the demand that chased them has cooled. Palm Bay's problem is simple. Too many homes were bought on the bet that someone else would always pay more. Next, a sprawling city where the cranes never stopped building. In 8th place, Port St. Lucie kept building long after the buyers thinned out. It was one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and the construction pipeline didn't get the memo when demand softened. New build incentives now compete directly with resale homes, dragging values down for everyone. The median has slipped about 8%, and inventory keeps climbing as finished houses hit a slowing market. When builders start cutting prices, existing owners simply can't compete. Port St. Lucie is a supply problem with a sunny address. Coming up, a commuter town the models say is badly overpriced. In 7th place, Deltona looks ordinary, and that is exactly why it's exposed. Wedged between Orlando and Daytona, it filled with buyers priced out of both, pushing values to levels the fundamentals never supported. Valuation models now flag the area as more than 25% overvalued, and local incomes can't carry today's prices. As rates stay high and commuters reconsider, the gap between price and reality is closing the hard way. Deltona didn't boom on jobs or amenities, it boomed on overflow, and overflow reverses fast. Next, a horse country boomtown running out of buyers. In 6th place, Ocala was the quiet winner of the pandemic migration, and quiet winners always draw a crowd. Builders and investors flooded in, and inventory is now roughly double what it was 2 years ago. The bidding wars are gone, price cuts are routine, and the median has eased about 6% off its high. A town that gained its value from scarcity is discovering what happens when the scarcity disappears. Ocala's charm is real, but its prices were borrowed from a frenzy that has ended. Coming up, a Tampa overflow city where affordability finally snapped. In 5th place, Lakeland was the affordable escape between Tampa and Orlando, until it wasn't. Prices climbed faster than paychecks for 3 straight years, and the gap finally broke the local buyer. Listings now linger. Price reductions are common, and values have come down roughly 8% from the top. The warehouses along the interstate brought jobs, but not the 6-figure incomes today's prices demand. Lakeland's crash risk isn't drama. It's arithmetic. The median home and the median wage stopped fitting in the same sentence. Next, the metro the data calls the most overvalued in the state. In fourth place, Tampa is the big one, and the models have been waving the flag for 2 years. CoreLogic and Moody's have repeatedly ranked the metro among the most overvalued in America, and the correction has started. Prices are down around 5%, and the decline is accelerating. Insurance costs are punishing, condo assessments are landing, and the investors who powered the run-up are now net sellers. When the largest market in the region turns, every smaller town on this list turns with it. Tampa isn't collapsing overnight. It's leaking, and the leak is spreading. Coming up, the town that rose fastest and now falls hardest. In third place, Northport posted some of the fastest price growth in the entire country during the boom, and gravity is collecting the bill. Part of the Sarasota metro, it filled with pandemic buyers and investors paying cash. And now that those buyers are gone, prices have fallen roughly 11% from peak with inventory at multi-year highs. Hurricane exposure and soaring insurance have turned eager buyers into cautious ones. What goes up the fastest tends to come down the same way, and Northport went up faster than almost anywhere. Next, the poster child of the entire Florida correction. In second place, Cape Coral has become the face of the Florida downturn, and the numbers explain why. A city of investor-built waterfront homes, it now carries one of the highest active inventory counts in the state, with prices down around 13% and most listings sitting with a price cut. Insurance shocks, condo assessments, and a wave of sellers have all collided at once. The canals that sold the dream are now lined with for sale signs. Cape Coral didn't get unlucky. It got overbuilt, overpriced, and overexposed all at the same time. And finally, the number one town nobody expects to lead the collapse. In first place, the most counterintuitive name on this list, Punta Gorda. It looks like a quiet, well-run coastal town, and that is exactly what hides the risk. It carries one of the highest shares of second homes and investor-owned property in the state, the buyers who vanish first when a market turns. Add some of the steepest insurance increases in Florida after back-to-back hurricanes, and you have a market propped up by the most fragile kind of demand. When discretionary buyers leave, there's no local engine to catch the fall. Punta Gorda isn't fragile because it's troubled. It's fragile because it was never really lived in. By the time we are done, your picture of the Florida housing market looks different. Not because Florida is finished, but because the easy money that built these prices has left, and what it leaves behind is math. The crash won't arrive as a headline. It arrives one price cut at a time, one expired listing at a time, one investor at a time deciding Florida isn't worth it anymore. Share this with someone about to buy in Florida before they overpay. Drop your town in the comments and we'll pull the data. And subscribe for the honest version of Florida every week.